Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Al just joining us. Where's he gone? There he is. It's right. Welcome. We just literally Al. We just gone live. So
Better late than never.
yeah, it doesn't matter, bruv. You're here. So we are live, as you can see, and hopefully you can hear as well. And anything can happen over the next 60 minutes, and it probably will. But yes, this is the Long Run Show. We are a running podcast for the everyday runner. We're also an award-winning podcast, which is still beyond belief. And tonight I'm joined by Marissa, who's done some running, Hayden, who hasn't shaved, and Al, who's having technical issues. So it's going to be a great show. Nothing could go possibly wrong. If you're joining us, make sure you get into the chat comments and go along with what we're going to be talking about, which is tonight. And I think this is really timely. It's that mental aspect of marathon, half marathon training. I've been speaking to some clients this week. They've been talking about this. I think it's at the front of everything. It's those mental struggles right now when you're in those weeks where it's getting tough. You maybe have got some big miles coming. You may have some races that are coming your way as well as we really start to motor through the weeks into those spring races. So we're going to be talking on that. We're going to be talking about the coping with the mental side of things in training in general. So we'll get on to that. We do have some other bits to talk about, to go through. As always, anything could happen, so I apologise now. Firstly, I do want to do the usual bits and bobs, so we'll give a shout out to our friends at Cooper. I know Pete's over in the US, although I don't know if he's back. But big shout out to Cooper. You can get 20% off a free trial at fordyruns.com/Cooper. Kendall have just posted a video on Instagram that's got me in it. I've just seen that come out. I've just shared that on my stories about me talking about running shoes. People spending £300 on running shoes, but how much you spend on hydration and fueling. It's a good point, isn't it? How much you actually spend. If you think about it, the hydration, the fueling is just going to help you get across the line. Probably not those carbon plated shoes. Fair point, no? It's good. Anyway, that's out. And always give a shout out to our friends at Start Fitness. Use the code FORDY runs. Right, so how is everybody? Marissa, you've done a run today, apparently.
I have indeed.
And how was it?
If you can call it that.
Was it hilly?
Hilly, muddy. I climbed over various things like gates, trees. You name it, I've climbed it today.
Okay. Ladder?
No, there was no ladders.
First thing I thought of when you said climb things. How have you been getting on? We've missed you, brother.
No, I know. I think this is my first appearance in 2025. I've been a little bit jet setting. So it's a home. When I say a home park run, it's a home park run in the UK. But we'll come to that later. But yeah, I've been for a run as well. I've done hills as well. Yeah, my mile hill managed to last 2.5 miles today, so I was quite impressed by that.
Good for you, brother. So, yeah, well done. You need to have a chat with Wilco because he's smashing out his Anson plan at the moment.
Yes, I know. We're kind of keeping in touch with each other. He's about 3 weeks ahead of me. So in terms of his plan for Manchester.
No, is it
Brighton?
Brighton.
Yeah,
Brighton.
So we are keep touching base just to see how things are going because I think it's his first time on Hanson. So
yeah, it is. No, he's doing really well. He was kind enough to join me last night. I did like a thing, like a Zoom call thing with some people, and I grabbed Wilco because there were like people starting out on their running journeys and stuff, and he's very good for that sort of stuff. And it was great insight actually into some of his things that he's been going through. So yeah, I might dive deeper into that on a podcast with him. I don't know. I was thinking about that, so we might do something like that along them lines. Now, just a couple of things before we get into the sort of main course. I was sent something today by Lee on Instagram, which, I mean, I've been struggling all week anyway, right? I'm just putting that out there. But this sent me, I mean, I was already out of control today. Max, I almost, this is how bad I am this week. I actually got off the train yesterday. I thought I'm never getting on a train again because these people with plastic bags and Sainsbury's bags and they're standing in there and they're knocking into my knees. Honestly, I got off the train. I swear to God, I got off the train and said, I'm never getting on a train again. That's how bad I am this week. So apologies if you've been on the end of something that a message or something that I've sent you this week, but you just have to roll with it. It's the joys of being neurodivergent. So this came across my pad. I thought this was brilliant. This sent me the other way. So this is from the BBC. Have you seen this? BBC Country File. Want to participate in a park run this year? Then you'll need this beginner-friendly kit loved by runners. Are you ready for this one? They all look at bated breath. I'm going to scroll down. You've got the usual nonsense that they've got off ChatGPT, wherever it was. Number one pick for the shoe for park run. Now, if I said to you, recommend a shoe for park run, Al, what would you recommend for park run?
So this is BBC
beginners
going out country file Alpha Fly 3.
Really?
Aidan?
I would go for, they're going to go for something like Brooks Ghosts 16s.
Okay. Remember, I just put this together. I'll read the title. Want to participate part in this year? It's beginner-friendly kit. Loved by runners. Marissa?
I would have said Brooks, but I'm going to angle for flip-flops at this rate.
Okay, so you're going flip-flops. No, they went for the New Balance Fuel Cell Super Comp Elite V4 shoes, which are £260.
Of course.
For the beginner. For the beginner. It gets better. Ready? Ready? Here we go. Next one. They picked a T-shirt. Okay. More beginner-friendly running picks. Okay. They picked a T-shirt. How much do you think the T-shirt they picked is? Remember, for beginners at Parkrun, which is free. Yeah? Al?
I'm going to go with something from the on range, so around about £75.
Bit strong.
Okay.
I mean, I really think I actually would have got in. I would have got on the train despite the plastic bags and gone around and seen them if there was case. but okay, Hayden,
should be something cheap from Decathlon, something just to get out there. But I know, taking consideration the fact that I think their parkrun T-shirts are with postage £30. I'm going to go £40.
Okay, Marissa.
Yeah, 45.
Yeah, bang on, £45 for a New Balance. Athletics graphic T-shirt too. And the last, I've got some other stuff on it, it's brilliant. But the last thing, which is essential for the beginner at parkrun, beginner-friendly kit, is the hydration bottle pack, which, you know, it's important to be hydrated. That is important. We're not saying that. How much for the high unisex running bottle pack that they are recommended on the BBC Country File? Al?
Rich Farmers, Country File. See where I'm going here. I don't know, £60.
Okay. Hayden?
I'm going to go £35.
Marissa?
So it's the pack that you wear?
No, it's just a running bottle.
Oh, God.
Bottle.
So it's got the belt thing. Yeah, it's got a belt thing, but fundamentally, it's a plastic bottle with a clip.
I would say £50.
Okay.
25.
It's £35, but lucky for all those readers, they're going to get 40% off. It's £21. So all that kit, right?
Bargain.
If you add that up, that's nearly £350 that they're recommending you spend to go and do parkrun. I mean, someone should be shocked, no? It's nuts, isn't it? It is nuts, isn't it?
I actually think I can go as far as saying, I don't think I've ever seen anyone at parkrun in the fuel cell, the New Balance. I don't think I've ever seen anyone at parkrun in them.
This weekend, Al, you've got to get them dust off a pair.
I have got my pair, but I don't think I ever wear them for parkrun. It's too sodding muddy to get my white shoes dirty.
£260. They're recommending a carbon-plated shoe that's £260. What makes the ideal beginner-friendly parkrun trainer? And at its heart, it's got a PIBA-based fuel cell midsole. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Anyway, so we thought we'd start with that. I'm going to say a phrase to you, and I'm going to leave it with you to think about. No, it's serious. Behavior is communication. Leave that all with you. Okay. So, here we go. I was sort of struggling this week, as you all know, or maybe you don't. And I did see that there was some sort of negativity around last week's episode. People were a bit upset about last week's episode where Hayden made us play this stupid game.
No. I'm not taking this one.
We've had comments as the pod's going downhill. Okay.
Oh.
We've had poor Mike. Poor Mike was commented on and that he switched off after last week's episode. So as a way of an apology and to cheer myself up, we're going to play a new game. But it is a sensible one. Okay. So in This is aimed to bring us back on path. Okay, to remember to show everyone why this is an award-winning podcast. If you're listening to this as a podcast, use now that 15-second skip button for about 10 minutes, something like that. Okay, just again, and Mike, if you're listening, you might again go and listen to another running podcast. Okay, so here we go, and this is before we get into. This is actually quite a good game. Before we get into the main part where we are actually going to add some value. All right. So again, when you leave the reviews, make sure they're positive. Don't mention that the first 20 minutes is absolute took. Don't mention that. Okay. All right. This is good. This has even got an intro.
Again, another one.
No, I've tried to cheer myself up today, Hayden. This is how I've done it. Okay.
Looking forward to it.
This game, right, is called.
It's never good when you laugh at your own jokes, is it?
No.
So just play the intro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's get
You can play along at home to this, okay? If you're listening to this podcast, you will be able to. This is not visual. You will be able to play along to this. Are you? Are you ready? This is aimed at cheering everyone up.
Hayden's house, woo! Hayden's house, woo! Let's take a look inside Hayden's house. Woo!
Be fair.
How bored, honestly, have you been? What on earth was that?
This is brilliant. So this game is called Hayden's House, and the idea of the game is to see what you can see, say what you can see, and see what you can say. Who is it? So what I'm going to do, team, you are going to be. I'll play along here. You're getting involved in this. We're at home. You need to play along as well. And if you're listening to this pod, I am going to show you the stuff that's in Hayden's garages. Okay. And
sorry, can I just one disclaimer? This is a man that's never ever been to my house. Right, let's carry on.
Don't shut up. You're ruining the illusion. So this is stuff that's in Hayden's garages. Legit. You have to guess, right? Guess through the wee hole. You have to guess what race they are describing. Okay, so if you're listening to this, play along. They're going to play along, right? So, Hayden, I've got a picture of just 4 of your houses. Okay, here they are.
4. Okay.
Right. So this is the 4 houses that I picked. Okay. So if you're listening to this pod, it doesn't really matter. This part is irrelevant. Okay. So they're going to pick one of the homes that Hayden owns, and then in that garage are some bits, and then they've got to describe them and guess the race. Have you got it, team?
Yeah.
Okay. So Marissa, which one are you
Don't
going to
start
pick?
on me.
Which one are you going to pick?
I'm going to pick the big white one.
There's 2.
Number 2.
Are you? Oh, what? It's placed in Miami. Okay, right. So it's gone to Miami. So Marissa, you now need to say what you can see and see what you can say. This is in Hayden's garage. Remember, you're trying to pick what. So tell everybody what you can see first.
Pictures.
Yeah, what are they of?
Hayden's backside.
Yeah. What else?
TV, pizza. Florida, is that?
No. So look at what you're looking at, Marissa.
And a ball.
So what have you got?
A ball.
Yeah.
Apollo Theatre. Hayden's backside. Pizza. A globe.
What else?
And a clock.
Any guesses what race that is for? Al, no, Marissa. Any guesses?
Well, I think Chicago.
Chicago. Al?
Oh.
I was going to go Chicago, but New York. That looks like the clock at Century.
Correct. It's the New York Marathon. Well done.
What's the ball got to do with New York?
That's in Wall Street. It's charging ball.
Of course.
Financial district. I know because I stuck my head up it.
But what's my backside got to do with it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because you took part in that race. Okay, next one. Are you ready? Al, over to you.
Okay.
Pick a house. Obviously, you can't pick the one from Miami, so pick another one of his houses.
Bottom right as I'm looking at it.
That's his place. That's his place in Surrey. Right. Okay. So it's placed in Surrey. Are you ready for this one? Hang on, I've got to check which one it is. Here we go.
So it's his backside again.
Yeah.
There's a Greg's.
Yeah.
That looks a bit like the Tyne Bridge, so I'm going to go GNR. Correct.
It's the Great North Run. You've got the Vampire Rabbit, the Littonfield Library, which apparently is a hidden gem. You've got Gray's Monument down the bottom.
It was the Greg's. Let's be honest, it was the Greg's that did
and then
it.
you got the Greg's, haven't you? And obviously Hayden. And Hayden's done the Great North Run, so well done, Al. That's a point to Al. Right, so let's go back. I hope you're playing along at home, by the way. Hayden, you've got one to pick, really.
I think there's actually two to pick, but I know what one you're going to want me to pick. So
No, you pick anyone you want. You pick anyone you want.
I'll pick the Hobbit House.
It's a sensible
I'll pick
game.
the Hobbit House.
You're going to pick your own house. Okay. Right. So actually, this is going to be quite easy for you. Where is it? No, I don't have one. There we go. Right. So again, you've got to explain what they are to the people listening on the pod.
I know what this is.
Okay, yeah, I know what it is. Right, we've got some form of like soup.
Right.
We have got those. I'm not sure them little waving cats. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're definitely Far East infused.
Okay.
We have got a vending machine.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some sort of funky block of offices or flats. Don't know what that is. And we've got a statue.
Oh, and
my bum.
Yeah.
With Ben very close behind it, but we'll move on.
I
am going to go with this one. At a rough guess, this is going to be Tokyo.
Well done. Well done. So you've got they're called beckoning cats. You've got the vending machines from Tokyo, bowl of Sakumi. I couldn't pronounce it wrong. And actually, I'm going to move on because I can't pronounce any of the other stuff. So we're going to move that. So there's only one left. Do you want to do the other one or not?
Yeah, I might as well.
It's actually, to be fair, it's actually quite a good game, isn't it?
I quite like the idea of it.
I feel mine was really hard.
Right, there we go.
Oh,
so explain, Marissa. All of you, pick a couple of bits and explain to the viewers, the listeners. Sorry.
So we've got ducks that have loads of babies following them. Oh, Hayden's bum, obviously.
What else?
I'm not sure what that is in the right-hand corner. Is that like cheese?
No, I think that is a bread roll with soup in it. Chowder, cham chowder, clam chowder.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
correct.
Yeah. So that's they're going to be. That's a brownstone house, isn't it?
It is. I know where we're going with this one. I think.
Yeah. I've got it.
Okay, where is it?
Boston.
Correct. You've got Acorn Street, which is, you say, the thing. You've got the Swan Boats, which are apparently in the Boston Public Garden. You've got Clam Chowder Bowl. The Sit Go sign, apparently is famous. Didn't know it was. And the Make Way for Ducklings statue. Be fair, that's quite a good game.
Not bad.
It was actually all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
We could sell that to ITV, I think, couldn't we?
This is what I'm saying to you, Al. After last week, we nearly got struck off because of all the complaints. I didn't think that was too bad to come
family friendly.
No.
There was any swear words.
No, exactly. So I'm going to play the amazing intro again so I get my other bits ready. Ready? Hold tight. Hayden, this is for you.
Hayden's house, woo, Hayden's house, woo. Let's take a look inside Hayden's house. Woo.
Be fair. That is a good
Chris, who did the voiceover?
It was AI generated.
Was it? It's very good.
On CapCut.
I like the woo. Brilliant.
It's so good, isn't it? Oh, I was wetting myself when I was making that.
I bet you were. I'm glad it brings excitement to you.
Listen, I was trying to cheer myself up. You're lucky I didn't jump in front of that train. Right, so, Al, talk to us about Parkrun and what the challenge is and what everyone's doing.
My God, there's so much going on. I'm not sure we've got enough time left in the show.
Right, let's just bring everyone up to speed.
So, yes, 2025. Yeah, that's the right year, isn't it? Yeah. It's going to be the year of our Parkrun challenges. And we kicked off last week with the county challenge, where we have selected every week for the next 48 weeks, i.e. taken us all the way through to the end of the year, a different county in England. And we are nominating that county, and we're trying to get as many FORDY runners and other runners, if you're listening to this podcast and you've still got time to choose a location, to get to a parkrun in that county so we can turn it pink. So, for example, week one was Hertfordshire, and I think we got FORDYs to 5 or 6 different Hertfordshire parkruns. We turned it pink. Tomorrow, we're targeting Northamptonshire, and we've got a list of all the parkruns, and depending on how many people we get, we will turn, hopefully, Northamptonshire pink. And over the course of the year, we will turn the whole country pink. But in addition to that, we're going to do some specials, which we're going to keep up our sleeves for a couple of weeks. Because obviously, if you're in Tyne and Wear and we're asking you to, go to a parkrun in Northamptonshire, that's possibly not going to happen.
I think you'll do it, Al, to be fair.
Oh, there'll be some of us who just, want the mileage. So the aim is there will be a parkrun county challenge near you soon. And I think, Hayden, we're slowly releasing the dates, aren't we, kind of over the next coming weeks. So that's the first one. The second one that's running in parallel, but it's not necessarily tied to the county challenge, is our flag challenge. So if you're a regular watcher on the community Facebook group, you'll quite often see meetups or satellite clubs with the FORDY flag as part of our promotions. Well, we've got a little flag and we're going to send it around the country. And the difference with this one is we don't know where it's going to go because it's dependent on one of you guys turning up and collecting the flag from the previous week's recipient. So I think it launched last week at Bushy. Why wouldn't you? The home of Parkrun. Big Ben Bailey was lucky enough to be the first recipient of the flag. Wherever he turns up to Parkrun tomorrow, we're looking for a FORDY to go up to him. First of all, say hello, start a bit of a conversation, and then be ready.
Don't just go and nick the flag.
Pinch it out of his back pocket or whatever. No, at least tell him you're going to do it. And then it's over to you in terms of where you end up. So it's a bit of mystery. It's an idea to see where the flag could end up. We don't know because it's all down to you guys. It will be wherever you parkrun each week. So the idea is to kind of pass it along. So that's week 2 for both the county challenge and the flag challenge. So a little bit of fun on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, good for you, and thanks guys for organising. I think it's great, get the community involved all over the country, which is just awesome. So that's we like some of that. Marissa, you're training for Boston, right?
Yeah.
Haven't we got Tokyo in a few weeks?
Yeah, there's a few doing Tokyo in a few weeks.
The reason I mention it is because after this, I'm doing a pre-record with Hayden. We're doing our marathon talk, first one of the year. If you're doing Tokyo or Boston, you need to listen to that. It's coming out next. Is it next week, Hayden? We're putting it out.
Yeah.
I think you're all in Barcelona next week, so I think it's going out next week. I have to check the schedule, but yeah, we're going to put that out. So if you're doing Tokyo or you're doing Boston for the first time or whatever, make sure you check that out. The other thing that somebody reminded me, because they stopped me this week and chatted to me, some stranger, but he thanked me for the podcast I did, the episode I did with the marathon sort of pep talk for mile 20. I don't know whether you guys ever saw that I did that. But he came up to me and said that it really actually helped him. So if you're doing an event, probably the marathon distance or whatever, have a look at it. It's on the like what they call it, library, I suppose, of all the podcasts and things like that. I must drag it out and find the link, but it's worth finding out. So it was really nice of the geezer to come up to me and say, "Oh, 40, blah, blah, blah." But it's I really appreciated that. That got me through that marathon. So make sure you do check it out. But yeah, that's next week. What's Chris Smith just coming with? I've just seen.
Yeah, it's actually a question I think we did address last week, and sure we're going to get into it in the next 10, 15 minutes. He's asked how much the long runs in training help with the mental side of marathon running. Do they make race day feel more manageable, knowing you've already covered most of the distance?
Yeah, they do massively in terms of how you can tackle them and stuff like that. And I think that's where we'll come on to in just a minute. Actually, you know what? Let's just get into it now. It's like I said at the start, we're in for some people week 6 or 7. Some people it's week 5. We're in the sort of the trenches now. I would say for people who are training for stuff, whether it's a half, full, ultra, whatever you're training for. We're in that period now into February where stuff's getting real. You've had your time probably where you've built that aerobic sort of foundation of whatever you've been doing. You've had those couple of weeks of slowly building up the mileage, that sort of stuff. It's now where the sort of hard work begins, where you'll see that your plan takes a turn for the worst in some respects, because the mileage continues to go up, but the speed maybe will come in, or you'll see like target pace runs in there. There's more hills on there. It's all coming at you thick and fast. And before you know it, you'll sort of march, and then it's like, oh shit, I've got a taper in a couple of weeks. What's going on here? And it can become all quite overwhelming. Talking about overwhelming, but yeah, it can be all quite overwhelming and a lot to deal with and to sort of break down in your own mind. It's quite hard because you're fatigued from doing all the running, and then you've got the mental side of things. Your brain's struggling to put it all together. So that's why I say we wanted it. I wanted to talk about it this week because I think it's quite apt. I think the first thing though, but I'm going to sort of stick this in, and it's kind of related, kind of not, because it came up on our group coaching on what day is it today?
Friday.
Whenever it was. And they were asking and talking a lot about races in their training plans and how they, I would say it kind of confused them quite a bit, because I think like a lot of people, you sign up for this big race, whatever it is, half marathon, 10K, and then you see all your mates doing other stuff, and then you get FOMO, and then you start signing up for other stuff. And then you realize that during that training plan, oh shit, I'm meant to be doing 15 miles this week, but I booked myself into the winter 10K. What am I meant to do? And it's like, that's another thing that's like push people out of control. And again, it's a good point to talk about it now, because I did a race last weekend, but race season is starting. Is that fair to say? It's getting underway. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah, it's picking up.
Yeah, it's starting to pick up. So I think we'll quickly talk about that, because as I say, those guys were thinking about it. So I'm guessing a lot of people are. And then we'll come on to. So in terms of like, Hayden, races in a training block for you, how do you handle that?
So yeah, I think you do. The whole idea of a training marathon plan is it's a plan. You're getting those let's just work on a 16-week plan, and you know what's coming for the next 16 weeks. Really, you should plan everything else around that. If you know in them 16 weeks you've got a special birthday, or you've got a wedding, or you've got a holiday abroad, you need to work them in with them weeks to do that. And for me, races works exactly the same way. If there's a couple of races that you really want to do that are sort of like don't fall in with the plan, again, you need to go to your coach or wherever you got the plan from, or think strategically yourself where you can fit them in. So in a way, there isn't no point really 3 weeks out from your marathon for you to take on a 10K race is a little bit daft, because that's not going to help you at all. So you have to be a bit more stubborn, a bit more strict about it. You can't really, and I know I'm one of the worst ones, and Marissa, don't you dare laugh, she's even worse than me. You can't really have a training plan then just think, I'm going to do whatever races come my way, because that will ultimately hinder you. That training plan is designed, if it's a good one, for you to get to your peak fitness at that peak time, doing the set mileage and the set runs. You're always going to have a little bit of a wobble where you can do a little bit extra or a little bit less, but ultimately it is designed to do each run in sequence to get you to that day. So throwing in a race can throw things off. But again, if you could be strategic with that, like for a lot of people would do 3 weeks out, you've got your longest run, and this is really general, I know. So if you're doing a 3-week taper, 3 weeks out, a lot of people have a 20-miler, and it's quite common around the UK. There's a lot of 20-mile races 3 weeks out from the big marathons. Where I am here, we have the Kingston breakfast race, and they have a 20-mile, literally strategically 3 weeks even before. Used to be before London, but they've changed it now to before Brighton, which is interesting. And you get the people at the marathons turning up there, so they've got that race day environment for the race, which helps you as well. So having races is a good thing, but I think it's just got to be strategic within your plan where they fit in.
Marissa, in terms of strategic for you?
Oh yeah, I'm full of it. I just sort of yeah. I thought actually this year for the winter 10K, I'm going to swap, because I'll have 10K during the week. I'm going to use that for my winter 10K, but do my longer run, say maybe Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay, here's a question. Now, you're in a slightly different part of your plan because you're doing Boston, so you're a little bit earlier. But why are you going to do a long run that week? Why not tone it down and go full kilt at winter 10K and do a full out effort?
No, because I've already done that. I've got my PB
Forget
at 10K.
PBs.
I don't need to go
PBs.
full out on
Forget
nothing.
PBs. This is not asking about a question. I'm talking about effort. You would get more from going at that winter 10K, getting on the pain train and understanding where you are in terms of fitness.
Well, like
exactly.
That,
but
though.
You ain't going to like it in the marathon, are you, when you're going up Heartbreak Hill? But my point is that sometimes you can look at these things slightly differently to maybe another way of looking at it. Instead of chasing miles, focus on quality. So,
I'd rather do a 10K than do a long run.
You're missing the point. You're missing the point totally. What I'm saying is that week's an opportunity to reduce your mileage down, okay? Lower the intensity in the week, but go full into the winter 10K and use the 10K as the same effort that you would have put into that long run. But you would have got a mental challenge. You'd have battled some demons. You'd have understood your strategy. You'd have understood pacing. You'd have understood how to grit your teeth and get on with it. And you'd have then understood how to recover from that hard effort the following week? Is that not more better? Would that not be more beneficial for you?
Well, it does sound more appealing, I must say, even though it's gonna
There's
kill
nothing
me.
wrong.
But
My
yeah,
point
it
is,
might
I've
give
been
me
a bit
clue.
devilish, but there's nothing wrong with losing a long run, but focusing on the effort and the quality of a race. It can far outweigh
Might
what
give it a
you're
go.
doing in terms of the long run.
But then this is it. This is we're getting into the grounds of this is the difference with having being coached, isn't it, or having someone write your plan specifically, and it's a different field, a different way. I'm not sure what Marissa's doing. I'm pretty sure she's just following a plan online, or with experience, you start almost like produce your own.
I've just
But
made my
I
own
think
plan
that's
up.
where the difference is. Like you're saying, having someone like yourself, if you was coaching them or in a coaching group or whatever, you can suggest that. Whereas someone else who's just writing their own plan might think, no, surely by just doing 10K on that Sunday, that's gonna hinder me because that's a week I haven't done my long run. But this is where the coaching comes into it. And if you're lucky enough to be able to afford one, then brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, let's bring Al in.
Yeah. So I've got it's a similar point to what Hayden's making, but there's a slightly different take because I'm a Hanson runner. So just be clear, I don't have to worry about those 20 miles. It's not built into the plan. But training for Copenhagen, I've got, in effect, back-to-back halves coming up, Barcelona and Brighton. One of those will be slightly over my long run for that weekend, and one of them will be slightly under. But I'm going to be tackling those races looking at relative effort. So trying to be disciplined enough not to worry about my time. It's to worry more about how I feel doing those races. Because I like getting a T-shirt and a medal for doing a long run. So I'm motivated by the rewards at the end of it. But I have to be disciplined enough to go, I can't do that and try and smash out a PB every 2 weeks for the next however long. I like the enjoyment of being in a race environment. I think there's a lot to be learned in your prep for marathon in terms of what works for you, in terms of race day prep, fueling and everything else. But you've got to have that discipline to say, this is not the week to go chasing that time. I'm still in that part of my plan where I'm looking for the miles, and it can be done. And then there'll be other parts in the plan when you're right, Chris, taking those races and going, I'm going to chunk them up and I need to hit 8 miles at goal pace. And I've got to decide when to do that in a race environment versus a training run. Can come into play later on.
Yeah, I was being a bit naughty, but what I'm trying to get you to think is to turn the training plan on its head slightly, and not and think about it differently, because you may have it out, and I totally understand. You'll have your sheet paper, you have it on your app, whatever, and it'll say, right, this week 30 miles, and you've got to do 15-mile long run or whatever it is. But you've got the race on the Sunday, so I must make sure I get my long run done that week. Well, not necessarily, people. You can switch it around and change the narrative of that week and have the confidence to switch it around, but put the effort in at the race. Now, you're not looking to completely annihilate yourself, because it's a stupid idea. Because ultimately, you've probably got 35 miles the next week. But again, allow for that recovery time to get out of your legs. But by switching from doing that 15 miles but into going to a 10K, but really putting a full effort into it, what you'll get out of that will outweigh what you'd get from doing those 15 another longer run. It's just have the confidence to switch these things around. And again, if you've got out back-to-back races, think about how you're going to tackle it. Yes, maybe sandwich one of them, so do some miles beforehand and then, do the run. If you haven't, done a longer run for a couple of weeks or whatever because you've been doing races, then that's absolutely fine. Or if you've got 2 races back to back, do the sandwich and then the following one, go and attack it. Because again, you will get a real good benefit out of doing that versus doing 15, 16 mile long run or 12-mile long run, whatever you're training for. Do you see what I mean? It's having the confidence to do it.
So how do you think? Sorry, Chris. How do you think then that's obviously the physical bit to it. With regards to, obviously, we're talking about the mental side of things. How do you think this is going to either hinder or enhance your mental thoughts with regards to the training plan by switching that out and doing the 10K? Is this going to make things better for you, worse for you mentally, or what?
Yeah, because you guys probably, like I said to you, in week 5, 6, 7, whatever, run after run. Same thing, hitting the pavement, hitting the trail, whatever you're doing, bang, bang, bang. In that, a race, actually race it, changes the mindset, the way you look at it. So it's not another long run. It's a totally different approach, and then you can learn something from that, positive, negative, but you turn it either way into a positive, and you go, you know what? That was bloody tough, but I dug in at 7K and I gave it full beans and I come out of that and I survived. Or, you know what? I absolutely negative splitted the what's it out of that race. I was so proud of my strategy on that. I blew up at mile 6. So clearly I need to do a little bit more speed work. You know, but that could change the mindset. So instead of that monotony of just like hitting your head over the thing every week, I've got to do more miles, 35, 36, 37, 38, 30, bang, 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 bang. Of this soppy training plan, it can bring it to life. So that's where the positive side of things. Obviously, you get to meet other runners, you run with people, you know, you get all that side of things as well. As Al says, you get a t-shirt and a medal. But more importantly, I think it can switch your training plan around, because you can be in a right old funk. You could be sitting there, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm never going to be able to finish this race. I'm never going to be able to do whatever. And all of a sudden, you go to a race and you have a strategy and you're really focused. And even if you go completely tits up, you would have learned something that you can then take into the next part of your training plan, and it can positively turn it about. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question, Hayden? Use them as weapons. Use them as tools to make the whole experience better. You're always going to learn in a race. Even if you hit the wall, even if your shoe falls off, you're going to learn something. Take that lesson, put it into your training. It will make your training better. Yeah. And then you roll that through. That whole motivation will roll through, and you'll just keep on rolling on that wave of motivation. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, Marissa. Win a 10K, 41 minutes, me and you. I think
I haven't got a bike.
Okay, so again, it's in terms of coping with the mental side of things, because it is tough, right? It is tough. I think the first thing I thought of when I thought about this subject was the goals, in terms of the training, not the outcome, was the goals. And I think setting realistic goals is an easy phrase to say, but I think setting realistic goals on a week by week basis is key, because if you're thinking 16 weeks ahead or wherever you are, it can undo you. But if you set realistic goals for within your week, mentally, you'll be able to cope with that far better than if you don't, and you're just like scrabbling through, like I just said. Al, do you know where I'm coming from?
Absolutely, because I'm applying something like that to my strategy for Copenhagen. So I've done 12 or 13 marathons now. I know roughly what a training plan is going to look like. I know when the peak weeks are going to come in. I know it's going to hurt. So I've stopped looking beyond 7 days. So I don't write anything down beyond this week. And even within that week, I've now started to chunk it down daily. And it's tying into something I'm trying to apply just more generally about having a 1% mindset. Because if you look at your training plan, 400 to 600 miles, depending, most of your runs are going to tick off 1 or 2% of your blocks. And actually that feels manageable. So in terms of either a success or a failure, because as you said, you'll sometimes have bad runs, you can kind of cope with that in terms of, I managed that. That was just 3%, 15 miles. That felt really good. Move on. It's just chunking that big challenge of all those weeks and all those miles into something that you can process and manage on a day by day, week by week. So you don't look at that plan and just freak out going, how the hell am I going to get to the end of that? Because you will, but you just don't want to give yourself all that extra anxiety and stress. So,
and actually, that comes on nicely, because it's in terms of that visualization. There's a lot to be said about visualizing the success on the race day and all this sort of stuff. But another way to sort of, again, calm your mind is to visualize that success on a run by run basis. So what's a success for this run? I'm just about to go. It says on my plan, Marissa, you've got harder. What was a lot? Not today, Marissa. Give me one run you've done in the week.
I done a hill
Okay,
session.
so what would have been a success for you?
Oh, actually, it was a success because I wanted to do 2 lots of the hills, and I actually
Good
did
for you.
3. So I set a goal for 2, but I done 3. So I was really
So the
quite
next
pleased,
time you
actually.
go and do that similar sort of session, you can visualize its success by saying, you know what, last time
Yeah.
I absolutely smashed that. I know I'm going to be able to do this. And you know what? I'm going to be able, because I know I can do it. I'm now going to put the effort up a bit because I know I've got confidence. And you visualize that success for that one session. As soon as you start taking that on board and then moving that to each session, even into the gym, even into the pool, even on, when you're doing the yoga on the TV, it will just run its way through the whole plan. And again, it takes that whole sort of depressive, monotonous plan that you can get yourself into, and that circle of it switches the mindset. Okay, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to battle these demons, and because mentally you're all fatigued, and it's only going to get worse. So that's why we're trying to do these sort of things. I would say,
Oh, trust me, I'm fatigued
yeah,
today.
I bet. Hayden, do you engage in positive self-talk at all?
Yeah. Do you know what? I actually do. It's the same thing about people say they run out, they run for their own mental health, they run for their own mind. When you go out, you find yourself talking to yourself within your head and telling yourself things. So yeah, absolutely. There'll be times where I would think to myself, I've got 8K at my target pace, and you start on 2K, 3K, and you think, God, this is really hard. Then you start thinking, you can do this. Of course you can do it. I only got 1 more kilometre. You get close to that and you think, that's it now, another couple. I know where I am now, straight over the bridge. Once you go down, I haven't got long to go. Come on, you can do this. Yeah, absolutely. It's talking to yourself positive, even if you're only trying to trick your own mind, even if in the back of your mind you've got that little bit of doubt, you still got to tell the rest of your body and the rest of your mind, no, you've got this, you could do this, especially if you do know deep down that you've done it before and you can do it. It's just convincing every other part of your body that too.
Al?
And there's a couple of tricks to actually help you do that in terms of the science of psychology. So we all know we've got that demon in our mind that talks to us silently. So you tackle that by doing what Hayden says, but saying it out loud so you hear it, and you talk to yourself in the third person. You say, come on, Alan, you've done this before. You know you can do that. Because what it does is it creates that physical distance which you would get from if you was listening to a friend. Because we all know we take advice from friends. We don't take advice from ourselves because we've got that little demon in our head. Well, if you actually just talk it out, you are just making that little bit of a gap between that little demon. And it's proven psychologically that when people they study the effects of that, it has a more positive impact on performance. So yeah, you will look stupid, but you'll probably look stupid, after 16 miles, looking like a dripping mess, cursing anyway. So who cares?
Yeah, mate, you're right. Remove those negative thoughts. Give yourself a good talking to. Like as I said to the Marissa at Winter 10K, give positive self-talk. I'm going to go and tear this up. I'm going to go and have some of this. I'm going to go and smash this 20-mile run. I'm going to absolutely nail this hill session. And you know what? When you finish it, you go, I'm an absolute legend. I just did that. But because what happens is you'll have one of those runs, because we all have them every week, where you're just like blown out of your ass and you're only trying to do like you're in the first mile of 3 and you're just like, I'm absolutely ruined here. And all of a sudden you then can spiral back down that pit of despair, where actually you was on a positive wave because you was doing the visualization of the success. You'd set yourself some realistic goals this week, and that was just to get to X mileage or get one session done that you knew you had anxiety about or whatever it was. But as soon as you let that negativity talk come back in, it could blow all that out of the water. And then you've had one. You're back to square one, and you're just gone. You're back in that hitting your head on the breakfast table. Like some, do you know what I mean? And it's very dangerous to get there. So again, this is where these couple of weeks it's really important to use some of these tools we're talking about. Marissa, do you do any sort of meditation, mindfulness, positive mindfulness, or anything like that when you're marathon training?
I do. Yeah, I mainly do it when I'm running, actually. When I'm out there, I literally talk to myself. But I do talk to myself out loud as well. I'm not quiet.
Do any of you get the alerts on your watch about like you've had a restful day and you've had or you're like on the other side of things, your stress levels are high. Do anybody get notifications?
Oh yeah. No, I keep getting calmed down.
Well, yeah, you should do really. But yeah,
Oh.
but yeah, I mean, and it's an interesting tool that comes now with some of these Garmin watches, but it's actually a really good thing. And you shouldn't be doing this when your watch is telling you, but you should be, during your marathon training or your training plan, taking some time out to reduce some of that stress, to do some of that breathing. Now, a good way of doing that, and it's something that I've done in the past and something I've been trying to do, but I've run out of time last few weeks, it's just to do a stretching mobility thing on YouTube for 20 minutes. Like, because like that soppy music on there and everything that's going on now, I'm not saying lights, candles and all that sort of stuff, but what I'm saying is if you could give yourself that 20 minutes, whilst just even once in the week, ideally do it every day, but it can just bring everything down a notch, and it can really help, because again, you're in the middle of war. That's what you're in. You're in the trenches at the moment, and there's no end in sight. So these little things can make the difference between coming out of it alive or just sitting there in the trenches and getting rained on. And if Hayden's near, you're probably pissing on you.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I find myself doing a lot. I sort of, in a way, it's sort of linked to that. I've started to, and I heard someone say it about a year or so ago, and I'd say it to myself it a lot. So I keep telling myself not to be so hard on myself, because, well, I know we're all guilty of it. And as you said, if you're running along and you're thinking, come on, I know you've done this before. Really, you're being hard on yourself. I think Fletch just said in the comments, don't put pressure on yourself. Go out and enjoy it. Running's there to be enjoyed. You don't have to do it without pressure. By all means, set goals, but don't stress if things go wrong. I think it's so important to keep telling yourself, stop being hard on yourself. And if I'm going along and I'm thinking I'm not going to make this set, or this one's going to be a bit slower, then sometimes I sit back and think, stop being hard on yourself. This isn't the end of the world. If you don't want to run, stop. Don't run. Stop putting that extra pressure on yourself. And just.
But I think that pressure comes from being in a plan.
Yeah,
you can't help it. It's like, for me, it's a godsend. This week, the only way I've survived this week, purely from a mental perspective, with everything I struggle with, is because I'm so hyper focused on my mileage this week. It's the only thing that is sort of keeping me. It's got that linear effect in my life at the moment. It's the only one thing I can rely on. Some people, that would stress them right out, that they've got to do 50 miles this week. And they're like, what? And so, but being in a plan can really add stress. And again, outside of, the mental fatigue from doing the physical activity, you've got all the stress of like trying to fit runs into life. You've got to pick the kids up. For me, you've got to go to work. You've got shift patterns, someone just said. And all this sort of crap. And it's like layer upon layer upon layer. And you're like, is there any end in sight? It's not until April, this bloody race. What am I going to do? Again, this is why these things are important, people. Okay? So just on it.
I actually think it's really good to pick something that's positive, like during the week. So maybe not running, but pick something that's actually a positive part of your week and focus on that rather than all the running, your work, whatever else you've got to do. So I was actually really excited about getting back in the gym this week, which I'm going tomorrow. So I am really excited. So I think you need to focus on something that's not just running, something that.
Yeah. I was saying, Chris, when you pulled out that point about the watch and seeing things go on, when you first start a run, do you feel the same? If all Garmin's the same or not? Within the first kilometre, half a mile, it comes up with your performance condition. It gives you like a figure, sometimes -2, 0, +1, +2. Do you get that on your watches?
No, but I don't have the £1,000 Phoenix thing.
No, it's not just a £1,000 Phoenix. No, a lot of them.
And I don't have a geezer running inside me telling these things as well. You pay.
Neither do I, and I still get it. So it comes up with a performance condition, and for the longest time, I think to myself, I don't even know what that means. Does that mean I'm going slower than the last one, faster? I've realised it is your watch that takes into consideration your stress levels of the day. If you wear it at night, your sleep, etc., how you've run the day before. If you rest the day before and you go out for a run, you start off at a fair pace, your performance condition is going to come up at like +5, +6, which is brilliant.
Is that the thing where it flashes up and saying this is having a positive or negative effect?
Correct.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's correct. It'll give you a figure.
On this cheap, crappy Garmin.
There you go. So you don't need a £1,000 Phoenix watch.
No, I don't know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
And it does. It takes that into consideration.
It says you do bugger all. I say, hang on a minute, I've just done 20 miles here. What are you talking about? But you're right. What you're saying, sorry to interrupt you.
That's
but what
right.
you're right is saying it takes into consideration everything else that, like stress levels and all that. Mine's routinely saying your stress levels are high, usually through therapy. Al, what about you?
In terms of the mindfulness, talked about the dealing with that self-talk, but I like to. Well, what I've found with the last training block I'm doing now is I'm really getting into audio books, and that's not a plug particularly for anything other than it just allows me to switch off. So normally I'd be advising people, mix it up, do something different, don't always run the same route. But I've kind of, first of all, I'm lucky enough to be now down on the coast, so I want to be running the same routes, and I've got my mile markers roughly in my head. I know roughly. So I stick the audio books on, I'm listening to that story, and I'm just taking, and I quickly go, Jesus, I've run 50 minutes. I didn't even realize I'd been out for 50 minutes. And it just takes the stress of all that. Am I running the right pace? Am I kind of, where am I on my miles, away from it? And then I try not to, look too much at the watch and what it's telling me during the run, because I've got some experience. I kind of know when I should be running a bit fast and when I should be taking it easy, and just having that. Some people might see it as a distraction. I see it as helping me get in the flow of just enjoying my run by having that person talk to me, whether it's telling me a story or whether it is a podcast telling me about the latest training techniques or whatever. But it's just that little bit of distraction that stops that chimp from just nattering away about all the things you haven't done today and all the things you haven't done this week in your training plan. So, yeah.
And I've got to give a shout out to Daisy. If anybody was able to pick up on that, I don't know if anybody heard that, but she was just doing a thing for audition. It's quite good. That's why I went like that, because I was listening to her. Anyway, sorry. The last thing I was going to say about this, in terms of, I'll use my analogy again about being in the trenches, and it brings it full circle actually with what Al was talking about in terms of parliament. It is the connection with the support network right now. Now, we're a support network's one person, by the way. So I think when you're training for marathon, half, whatever it is, okay, catch 5K, whatever it is, if you can find somebody that you can talk to about it, because a lot of us talk about running a lot, right? But if there is somebody or some people that are on the same journey as you, same path, can relate to it because maybe they've done it. That's really powerful, because those days where it's all getting on top of you, remember my layers, which I mentioned, you can have a discussion, have a chat with them about it. And all of a sudden, there could be a master. It's like, I'll chat that. I'll say, hey, I've got this run. And he'll just say even just a couple of things from the experience that he's got from doing all the stuff that he's done. It can switch the way I look at something. And even I think one of you said about, I can't remember who it was saying about the changing the routes. I'm changing my route tomorrow. But it was somebody said to me, but it might be you, Hayden, it might be somebody, right? But somebody made me think about that a little bit differently. But I wouldn't have thought to change that. And again, I'm somebody who lives by routine, so it's a big change for me. But I'm actually looking forward to that change. And it's only by talking to, let's say, my support network that I thought about that. So again, the positivity that can come out of it and help that mental aspect of training from having a really positive support network around you can be a game changer, people. So whether you find that, look, we're obviously FORDY Run's Facebook group, FORDY Run's community and a wider network, the Global Run Crew, whatever, it's totally free to join. You're welcome, okay? But that might not be your thing, You might find it somewhere else. Might be the geezer who's down the news agents, used to be like marathon runner, and every time you go in there to get your booze, like Hayden does, he might want to talk to you about marathon running. Whatever it is, I don't know, But if you can hunt out somebody or some people that you can install into your life as a support network while you're going through this, it can be quite powerful. Hayden, you are nodding.
No, it's I'm privileged beyond any privilege, purely because I've got my wife and she runs and she gets it and she goes through the same struggles I do. Both have the same injuries. We both have the same problems. We're both looking at the same races. So it's one day, she'll say to me one day, I'm not sure about doing this run. What do you think? Or I say the same to her. I'm not sure about that. Where should we go and do our long run? What do you think about it? It's my calf's hurting. And we talk about it, and it makes life easier. If I didn't have my wife, if I had a wife that all would turn around to me and said, "Will you just shut up about running?" I'd be in trouble, and I would have to look elsewhere for that support network. As you said, it's absolutely vital to have someone like that around.
Marissa, you're laughing.
Yeah, because she does tell him to shut up.
But she gets it. She might tell me to shut up, but she gets it. That's the most important thing.
Al, I mean, you're in the same boat, right?
In terms of having your running buddy is also your running partner, is also your life partner. It can make things very easy. It can also make things difficult as well. As I think Hayden and Marissa are alluding to. But I think that the key thing is about having that person to chat to. Is it's too easy to let that negative chimp convince you can't do it, and you're the only one that's ever had this problem, and it just everything seems insurmountable in that moment. So it's a cliche, but a problem talked about, it's a problem shared, is a problem solved. It is really what we're saying, and it's no different in running as it is in life. That if you can find people to share that with, they may not give you the solution, but they'll just give you the comfort that you're not the first and you won't be the last, and therefore there is an answer out there for you. And whether that trouble is.
I say it's all about adaptation. There's a comment there from Stephen C 1984, and Joe, it's something he just said. I've never heard it before. It is absolutely, for me, what a phrase. He's talking about doing your training plan to be adaptable. He's put the plan is written in pencil, and that's his rule. It's absolutely sums it up. It's absolutely brilliant.
It's brilliant. Isn't it? It's well put. That.
Yeah.
It's nearly as good as my phrase. Have you worked this out, by the way?
Oh no, I forgot. What was it?
Behaviour is communication.
Okay.
I'll leave that with you. Think about it. That's it. It's true. It's a really good phrase. I think we're at the end of the show. It's 57 minutes, team. I didn't even realise it was 57 minutes until I looked. I hope we've added some value tonight. And Mike's managed to get through the whole podcast tonight, and everybody else has said it's gone downhill. Maybe it's bottomed out a little bit. Hayden, to be fair, hopefully they've.
It's always it's always at its top level when Coach Al's here giving us his advice.
I make him right. He comes on and steadies the ship. And I like the way you totally ignored Marissa, Hayden. You'll have
yeah, always.
have to explain that one. Right, so a quick scoot about the room. What are we running this weekend, Al?
Well, park run obviously tomorrow. I will be, and Caroline as well, will be achieving our second alphabet. Right. So we'll just leave that out there in terms of where we might pop up.
Barclay.
No, I've got loads of. I've got 17 Bs. I'm chasing the 20 Bs, and then I've got my long run on Sunday, 12 miles, and I'm pretty certain it's going to be in the sun. But I'm staying optimistic.
Big Ben has just written he's going to be at what is it?
Ingerbourne Hill, which is one of the new London ones, just outside Rainham. So I see Alf Dickinson's on the pod. Come down. It's Rich Quinn country, so I've been persuading him to come along. So Ben hopefully will have some mates to perhaps pick up the flag. Who knows?
Yeah, we need someone to pick that flag up. Get yourselves down there, Hayden. Get the helicopter, fly in to do it. Marissa, so what you did your big run today up and down ladders. What are you doing tomorrow? I'm going to the gym.
I am actually doing my third alphabet. I finished my third alphabet
Where's
tomorrow.
That?
In Brecon.
You needed a B. You could have had
one of your Y's. Yeah.
No, it's a Y.
No, you're not meant to agree. You're meant to go no for it. You're really smart.
It's your park run.
Sorry,
It's your
no,
park
you're
run
really
ignorance.
smart.
Nothing else. Your alphabet ignorance.
Yeah, I'll be fair. I think. Hayden, what are you doing?
I am tomorrow. We're going to try something new. It's only a couple of hours ago. We thought, well, we park running tomorrow. So again, there you go. I've got my wife. We talk about running, and we come up. We had a look round at ones we haven't done. We're going to go to. I don't know if you've done it, Al. We're going to go to
Barclay.
No, not Barclay. We're going to go to Wakehurst.
Oh, it's
Wakehurst.
beautiful.
It's actually in a botanical garden. The whole run. So we're going to go down there. The botanical garden.
It's really nice, and assuming it's not peeing
really
it down with rain, it's I think it's 2 laps.
Yeah,
and it's got a nice. The cafe's a little bit expensive because it's National Trust, but it's a beautiful location. So yeah,
definitely. We're looking forward to that. Yeah, we've got that tomorrow, and then Sunday I have got a long run. What am I doing? 26k. So
I was going to say 26 miles.
No, God, no, about 26k.
Oh, only 26k. Is that all you're doing?
Don't compare yourself to others, Marissa.
Exactly that.
Don't you worry about what everyone else is doing.
If you want to do a 20 miler on week 9 of your plan, you
Crack
go,
on.
girl.
Crack on.
It's by
Crack on.
mistake.
Right, team. So that's it. Again, a reminder, next week, Valentine's. Hayden's taking me out for dinner, so we're not here.
What, in Barcelona?
Who's it? Yeah, apparently Jeeves is your about to take me out. On,
Me and Coach Harry be in Barcelona.
So the teams out in Barcelona are large in it. So if you're out there, make sure you go up and give them all a big hug. So we're going to put out a marathon talk, I think, next week. I may have to have a look at the schedule, see if anyone is around, but we'll figure it out. But so that look out for that one, especially if you're doing Tokyo or Boston. We're going to be talking about them in terms of tips and things like that. I'm back on Monday. Yeah, Monday I am around this week. It's the following week I'm not around. And I think that's it, team. I think we managed to get through. Be fair, I don't think we cocked about that much tonight. I think we've done very well, very sensible. Please leave us a nice review because there's too many negative ones on there. So go over there and just say to all the reviews, you're talking bollocks. This is the best show I've ever listened to. So put that on there, okay? And everybody just let us know in the Facebook group whether you think Hayden needs to shave. Okay, right, team. That's it. We shall see you all later.